Hello, this is Arthur Crofton. Welcome to FYI Television. We are going to be talking about Underwood's Jewelers here today. Underwood's Jewelers, Florida's finest jeweler, founded back, as I understand, in 1928. Who knows more about Underwood's Jewelers than Clayton Bromberg, its president? Nobody, and we're delighted to have Clayton on the show with us.
Hello,
Clayton,
Arthur.
it's great to see
How are
you.
you? Good to see you.
Good to be with you. Now, 1928, that was when Mr. Underwood opened that first Underwood store.
He did. He opened in Palatka, Florida in 1928, and 1 year later, the Great Depression hits.
Nothing like timing.
But while things were rough, they weren't as rough as they could have been, and he grew that business through the 1930s. And when you get to around 1940, he'd grown the business to a size to where he moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and opened up a store in Jacksonville at 229 Hogan Street. In about the same time, a man named Robert Shipley is making the rounds around the United States, selling the idea and proposition of gemology as a science and gemological equipment. And he calls on Mr. Underwood, and Mr. Underwood buys a binocular microscope and buys into the notion of education. Incidentally, Robert Shipley is the founder of Gemological Institute of America and the founder of the American Gem Society. You get past World War II and into the 50s, and Mr. Underwood is bought into this notion of gemology, and he wants to spread the word of using the science of gemology to make better, more informed decisions when buying diamonds and jewelry. And so he uses the medium of television.
Brand new at that time, of
There
course.
was no television. In fact, in the beginning, he had a 30-minute TV show just to fill space for what would have been then Channel 4.
Yeah.
He takes that later to a sponsorship of the news, and he became famous because he would take a 3-minute spot at 7:15 and run each night of the week a show that was information about diamonds and jewelry.
Well, what is really interesting is that we're talking about television in the early days and Mr. Underwood's involvement. You found some of this film, did you not?
We did.
In your archives, I suppose. And we've got some of that film of Mr. Underwood doing his educational features on television back from, 50 plus years ago?
At least.
Take a look at this. This is Mr. Underwood.
When diamonds were first discovered in India about 600 BC, it was the hardest substance that had ever been found up to that time. And the gem cutters of that day found it was impossible to polish this material with any of the abrasives or polishes and powders which they had on hand. They finally solved the problem by reducing some of the small diamonds to powder. And with this powder, they then had an abrasive with which they could polish the gems. Now, the first diamonds that were cut looked something like this. This is the natural shape of a diamond crystal. So about all they did was polish these faces or edges and give the diamond some sparkle. 1,000 years later, they had begun to develop shapes which were left more or less to the discretion of the cutter. And by 1500 AD, they began to put facets on the stone and give it something of a shape akin to our modern diamond. And then by 1750, you see the resemblance to our modern stone. By 1875, 1880, they had developed what we call the old mine or cushion-cut diamond. And then by 1900, they had a stone which looks very much like our modern diamond, with this important exception. This had to be cut from a single crystal like this, because all they could do was cleave the top of that crystal off. They didn't know how to saw a diamond and give it the shape they wanted. But in 1900, they did develop machines. And with these machines, they were able to do a precision job of cutting diamonds. Now, this is the rough crystal, as I showed you in another picture. And they took that crystal and sawed it off right here. The next job was to brute the diamond or put it in a lathe and rough it into a circular or round shape. And then they began to put the facets on it, as you see here. 33 facets on the top, 25 facets on the bottom, making a total of 58 facets. And the finished modern cut gem looks very much like this. Now, please bear in mind that the cutting skill of the cutters will vary from one to another, just as cabinet makers and carpenters have various skills. So the practice in the industry is, when they have poor material, they give it to the less competent cutters. But when they have a fine piece of diamond material, they give it to their finest cutters. That's why an Underwood diamond is made of the finest materials and cut by the finest cutters in the business. And you'll always find that an Underwood diamond will have that extra sparkle and brilliance which comes from the fact that not only is the material fine, but the man who cut it was a real craftsman.
That's fascinating film from way back 50 years ago. And of course, today in the marketplace, there are an awful lot of places where our viewers can go to buy a diamond. So why should a viewer buy a diamond from Underwood specifically?
The best way to answer that question is if we were talking about rough diamonds just to start with, before they're ever even cut.
Right.
There are 5,000 different grades that a rough diamond can fall into.
5,000.
That's just in rough diamonds before they've been cut and polished. So once we get to the cut and polished diamond, which is what we buy and sell, those are then broken into essentially color grades that go from the letter D to the letter Z, if you're using the American Gem Society laboratory scale, from 0 to 10. And those colors have half-point increments, so you can go 0.5, 1.0, and then you've got 10 clarity grades on top of that, and then you've got 11 cut grades that it can fall into. So the possibilities are enormous, each one of them having different valuations. If it's poorly cut, it's not worth near as much as something that's beautifully made that is a good color and a good clarity.
So describe for us the process that you specifically at Underwood's go through in selecting those diamonds, you specifically.
Well, first of all, because you might call us a picky buyer, we go to the markets to buy. We select the diamonds that we want to bring into our stock at the markets. We have an agreement with all the people that we buy from. We've selected these diamonds, but we want the final analysis to be done in our gem laboratory in Jacksonville, where we make our final selections. So we'll leave the market, they'll brinks the diamonds down to us that we've picked out, and then we will go through a process of going through each individual diamonds. Some of these diamonds are sent individually, some of them are sent in a parcel box as a group that are ungraded. And when I get a box of those diamonds, the first thing I'll do is I'll check them with an angular spectral evaluation tool or an asset handheld tool, which will show me the light performance of what that diamond is going to do if it's a round brilliant. And seeing that pattern of how the light is going to be coming out of that diamond, if it's the pattern that we want, which is what is called zero light performance, which would be ideal, then I'll look at it using the microscope to make sure that it's the clarity grade that we had expected it to be when we pre-selected the diamonds. If it is that clarity grade, then I'll check it against our color masters to make sure it fits in the right color that we had bought this diamond expecting it to be. And after I've done all of those things and gone through all of those diamonds, the ones that would go to the next step in process, I would hand over to Michael Richards to do a analysis using our optical scanner.
Well, let's get Michael Richards to come on the show now and actually show that process at work. Michael?
Thank you, Arthur. After Clayton has done all of the preliminary grading of the diamonds, he gives those diamonds that have passed his tests to me for further testing. I am sitting at our non-contact optical scanner. This device allows us to measure every single facet of the diamond to determine how light interacts when that diamond will be worn someday. The first step is I'm going to clean this diamond to where there's no dust or lint on any of the surfaces. I'm then going to place this diamond inside the optical scanner, and this scanner is going to slowly rotate the diamond while it is taking hundreds of digital photographs of every facet and surface of the diamond. We now have those hundreds of pictures inside the program, and the diamond is being virtually recreated inside the hard drive. We take this virtual diamond and we save it inside the hard drive, and we're going to open up the American Gem Society performance grading software. This software will allow us to take this diamond and move it into the program, and it will, in essence, theoretically shoot light rays or light beams through every surface of the diamond. That will determine how much of the light is being internally refracted and reflected back out through the top. The more light that comes out of the top, the more beautiful or brilliant the diamond will be. As you can see, it just takes a very few short seconds for thousands of beams of light to interact with this diamond. And then we can see the result. The result we're looking for is it's actually being measured for 11 different characteristics: brightness, dispersion, contrast, durability, proportion. The best grade of each is going to be a 0. The worst grade of each is going to be a 10. There's a formula that is used that determines a final cut grade, with a 0 being an ideal cut and a 10 being a diamond that is very lifeless or dull, dead in appearance. A very large percentage of diamonds are cut for weight retention or size, not for beauty. What we are measuring here is beauty, brilliance, performance. Surprisingly, even though the diamonds have initially been graded by a diamond cutter that knows what we're looking for, and then they've gone through Mr. Bromberg's scrutinizing process, when they get to this step, we still reject even more from that initial parcel or group of diamonds. By the time we go through all of these steps, we might end up with 2 diamonds out of initial possibly 75 or 100 we started with. This technology is yet one more example of how we are trying to live Mr. Underwood's credo. This technology allows us to know the truth about each diamond we sell. We want to know the truth about that diamond so we can tell the truth about that diamond. A lot of times at the sales counter, we'll actually bring customers back into this room and allow them to see how we cut grade a diamond, how we determine how beautiful that diamond will be once it's set into a ring and worn on their finger. Those customers will ask us, why have they never seen this technology before? Why doesn't every jeweler do this? Why don't other jewelers share this information? The simple answer is, not many jewelers across the entire United States use this technology. They're buying diamonds based on what a diamond cutter says they should buy or based on price. At Underwood's, we're selling on beauty, and that's why you should buy your diamond from us.
Thank you, Michael. That is absolutely amazing, that three-dimensional imaging that can be done there. So when Michael is through with that aspect of it, then the diamond goes on the marketplace, or is there more to be done?
When Michael hands it back to me, and assuming his optical scanner and the work he's done allows it to go to the next step, he brings the diamonds back to me, and we package those that have made it this far, and we package those up and we send them to the American Gem Society Diamond Grading Laboratory, because in diamonds, while we have our own accredited gem laboratory right in Jacksonville with all the equipment, there's certain things that can be done to diamonds that we can't detect, and it needs to go to a laboratory for further analysis. These are things like high pressure, high temperature treatments, which actually realigns the lattice structure of a diamond and changes the color.
Interesting.
Clarity enhancements, which is the addition of resins into a stone, which would mask an inclusion. These are the kind of things we can detect some of them, but some of them we can't. And so we want to send it to that laboratory to get a final analysis. They send us the results. Assuming everything is what we expected, we then have a diamond grading report issued on that diamond, and we have the inscription of that laboratory report. That number is inscribed by laser on the girdle of the stone, and we also put Underwood's logo there.
In tiny
You can see it under 10, 15 power under a microscope.
Interesting. So then, when that diamond is there, you know full well that this is a diamond that has passed all these rigorous tests and you can trust it.
That's exactly right. All of the diamonds go through this process in our gem laboratory, which is located in our San Marcos store. When the diamonds come back and we do with them whatever we're going to do with them, some will be loose, some will go into rings, some earrings. Each one we buy is destined to something different. But those are then distributed into our 4 stores in San Marco, Avondale, Ponte Vedra, and also the Avenues Mall. But in those stores, you've got to have staff that's trained and educated to be able to correspond and talk to a customer to allow them to understand what all is going on in this process. we can't train them ourselves to do that. What we do is we send our people to the Gemological Institute of America, and we send them to the American Gem Society for educational courses. And then they come back, and as a result, we have the largest staff of certified sales associates, registered jewelers of the American Gem Society, and certified gemologists of the American Gem Society. And by the way, those certified sales associates, they're certified also by the American Gem Society. We have the largest credentialed American Gem Society staff of professionals working in any organization east of the Mississippi River.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So you, when you're wanting to buy a diamond and invest your hard-earned money in something of this kind of quality, you want to be dealing with someone who has a good background to fully be able to explain and answer any question you may have. And that obviously is a point of pride for Underwood Jewelers.
Well, it's a point of pride, and what's really brought it more to the forefront today than maybe anything else that wasn't there when Herb Underwood was doing these TV shows is the introduction and invention of the internet. Because lots of the information on the internet, as it's spread, there's no filters that it's run through. There's nobody actually regulating what's being said.
Indeed.
So as a result, you can't believe some of the things that we hear at the counter. And in today's world, if you don't have behind the counter somebody with enough knowledge to be able to get them back to an original starting point and get rid of the myths and start again with the truth. And in today's world, with everything that's out there at their fingertips, at the smartphone fingertips, you need to have somebody that cares enough about the customer to do what we're doing. And the organization that does that for the jewelry trade at large is the American Gem Society. You know, Herb Underwood had a favorite saying, know the truth and tell the truth. Because you can't tell the truth about diamonds and gemstones unless you first know and have that knowledge to be able to tell the truth about them. That's where the American Gem Society has fit in for us, because they've allowed us to train our staff with the knowledge to be able to tell that true story. And in today's world with the internet, somebody needs to do that. And the American Gem Society is the organization that credentials certified gemologists and all the title holders I just talked about. And the thing that's interesting about them, we have to re-win those titles every year by taking a written test.
This is an ongoing process.
Well, since I've gotten into the business over 35 years ago, my God, you look at the treatments that have come on, things that have immense effects on value that if you don't know they're there, you're just going to pass them on down the line to the customer, and he's got no way of knowing any different.
Well, clearly, we need to come to Underwood's Jewelers because you're going to make sure that we only get the highest quality. And where's the public? We can't really tell ourselves with our own eye the difference between one high-quality diamond and a lower-quality diamond, can we?
Well, I have a real good example I can show you here.
Okay.
And I brought it to show. I've got 3 rings here. The 3 rings are exactly the same ring, but they're set with 3 different quality diamonds. The top quality, a medium quality, and a poor quality. This top quality is what we sell. However, if this doesn't exist in a case where all you have is just this poor quality stone, you have no idea of what it is you're buying because all of it looks the same. And so that person doesn't find out that what they have is really not exactly what they think they have, and they bought something a little different than what they were led to believe that they were going to get in the first place. When they get and they show the ring to one of their girlfriends, and they compare the rings to each other, and one looks a lot better than the other. That's the optical comparison that is wow to one girl and oh no to the other.
Oh, whoa, no to the other. So you can only really tell when you compare the diamonds against each other and the highest quality from the lowest quality.
That's exactly right.
Right in front of you. So you can clearly see when you compare the low quality with the high quality, the difference between the two, and that's what you do every day.
That's what I've been doing for more than 35 years. At Underwood's, it's what I do every day. I'm a 6th generation jeweler. It's pretty much all I know.
It's in your blood, right?
That's right.
Well, we've got this little demonstration here, but you've also brought with you some other little displays here, not little, some lovely displays of diamonds, earrings, and rings. What are we going to do with these?
Well, these are some rings that were created for our center diamonds that we picked out. And then I've got another pair of earrings. It's a brilliant matching that we did on some pear shapes and rounds. But we also have got some rings that look very much alike that have completely different finishes that you wouldn't know about to the unaided eye. Mm-hmm. And Michael is going to walk us through that.
Michael is of course here. Michael, come over and join us and explain exactly the differences and the similarities between these pieces we have here. Welcome back to the show, Michael.
Thank you.
Of course, enjoying having you here with us, talking about Underwood's Jewelers and talking about diamonds. And you've brought these lovely pieces, as Clayton pointed out, these lovely rings and this beautiful set of earrings. And I'm hearing these words that are to do with match and are to do with finish. Would you explain those words and what they mean in the issue of these diamonds?
Oh, absolutely, Arthur. There is so much that goes into making a fine, high-quality piece of jewelry. We often talk about the 4 C's of diamond grading, and that is certainly a very large part of making an heirloom quality ring, necklace, earrings. One of the things we pride ourselves at Underwood's is some of the things that are lesser known to the jewelry buying public. You mentioned finish. Mm-hmm. We inspect every single piece of jewelry that comes into our store, both from the top, the sides, and from underneath, using a binocular microscope. We feel that if a craftsman has taken the proper care and time to execute a piece of jewelry, it's going to look just as beautiful from underneath as it does from the top. And you may ask, well, why does that matter? Nobody sees it. Nobody sees the bottom when it's on your finger. What actually matters a whole lot. That underneath of the ring, because of how diamonds are transparent and how light interacts with the diamond, that underneath part of the ring makes a huge difference in how the diamond looks once it's being worn. It can be a very fine quality diamond and appear dull and lifeless over a very short period of time if it's not finished correctly. One is finished from the bottom just as beautifully bright finished as it is from the top. If you imagine a piece of wood in a fine dining room table, it's got a very nice sheen. It's almost like glass. If you were to take a bag of dirt, dump it on that dining room table, a few days later go by and wipe it off, all of it would come off and it would be just as beautifully finished, have that same high polish. The wood wouldn't have changed in appearance at all. It's the same with that ring that has that nice, bright, polished finish underneath. The other ring that's very similar looking when it's brand new out of the case, if you turn it over, you can see that it's a cast ring that's been tumbled or mass-produced, probably overseas. Nobody took the time or the effort to turn that ring over before they set the diamonds and polish each individual head underneath every prong, the infrastructure of the ring. What that means to you as the person wearing the ring is it's, using our same analogy of wood, it's like a picnic table. Same piece of wood hasn't had that high finish or polish applied to it, that labor-intensive high polish. That picnic table is very porous, it's rough, and if you take that same bag of dirt, you dump it on that picnic table, you go by a couple days later, you brush it off, it still has that dirt look to it. Dirt is ground into the wood grain. And that doesn't change very easily. What that means to the ring and to the diamond is over a short period of time, people's hands get dirty. Mm-hmm. They maybe bake cookies, or they're cleaning, or they're washing their car. Mm-hmm. And that ring will get dirt up underneath those diamonds. Well, in that ring that isn't finished correctly, those diamonds are going to lose their luster, their beauty, even if they're high quality diamonds. And just like that picnic table, it's not going to come clean. Unfortunately, when you have a ring like that, after the diamonds are set in it, it's manufactured, you cannot go back and put that type of high polish in the ring.
It's too late.
It's made incorrectly and it's going to stay made incorrectly. Those are some of the small details that we look at in every ring. We actually have a vendor. We laugh every time it happens. They will send an invoice and it says at the bottom of the invoice, picky customer, because they know that when we get a ring, if we don't like how it looks, we're sending it right back to them to have it remade to our standards.
So it's a little slogan you have with pride, right?
We take that little little cut down with a lot of pride.
A lot of pride, a lot of pride. And matching, too, is making sure that the diamond is in the setting that showcases the diamond the best?
Absolutely. That is another thing that we're very, very proud of. Mr. Bromberg personally matches all of the diamonds in any important piece of jewelry that we make. It is as much science as it is art. It is something that you can't go to gemology school and learn how to make these rings look the way they do. You have to either have that ability to know when you look at a center diamond what the correct proportions are going to be to make a well-executed ring or not. We see 3 stone rings, which is a large center diamond and a small diamond on either side, come into our store every day, and they're sad, really. They look like somebody made them in their garage. And we're very, very proud to say that none of those rings came from Underwood's. You can look at a ring like this. This is a ring that Mr. Bromberg selected this center diamond because it is an extremely beautiful diamond. He had that diamond in our store. It's about 3 months before he was able to find the exact correct size matched diamonds. Matched not only for cut, color, and clarity, but the exact dimensions he wanted to make that ring flow the way it does. That's a beautifully executed piece of jewelry. And that's the type of jewelry that you can wear with pride and you can leave for the next generation of your family to wear with pride.
Indeed, as we used the word before on the program, heirloom.
Heirloom,
Isn't
exactly.
it absolutely beautiful?
And this is probably one of the most difficult things to manufacture that exists. And this took a little bit longer than the 3 months I just mentioned on that ring. Finding large, fancy-shaped diamonds like these are both 1.5 carat pear shapes, and finding them that match, again, not only in the quality of the diamond, but in the exact dimensions.
They are exact, aren't they?
They are exact. Finding these accent diamonds, both that go around that center pear shape and at the top of the pear shape. There aren't many jewelers anywhere that can execute a piece of jewelry like that. And at Underwood, we're very lucky to have Mr. Bromberg do that for us.
Well, this is absolutely beautiful, and of course, there's the science, and this is the art, isn't it?
Absolutely. The science of gemology and the art of actually executing a piece of jewelry to be as beautiful as that. Arthur, I'm going to go back out on the sales floor to our customers, and
Yes, indeed.
It's been very nice being with you today.
Good to be with you on
right.
FYI Television.
Thanks,
Thank you, Michael, so much. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Clayton Bromberg back with us here to wrap up our time together here. And it was fascinating what Michael was describing, how it's not just the quality of the diamond, which you described in great detail, but the whole setting. And Underwood's prides itself on not just the diamond, but the quality of every aspect of a piece of jewelry that the customer buys. You pride yourself on that, obviously.
That's exactly right.
Like this beautiful earrings here, for instance, all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwood's Jewelers, thank you for taking the time to be with us on
always a pleasure.
FYI Television. We, of course, invite you to visit Underwood's Jewelers. If you have even the smallest thought of buying a diamond, please come to Underwood's Jewelers because you deserve the very best. And that's what you'll always find at Underwood's, San Marcos Square, Avondale, Ponte Vedra, and the lower level of the Avenues Mall. On behalf of Clayton Bromberg and all of us here at FYI Television, this is Arthur Crofton. Join us next week, same time, same channel. Till then, bye-bye.